What is going on, Pretender here, back with another Honkai Sorrow guide, and today I'm here with the full guide for one of the characters that will be rerunning during the 3.4 first half, being Tribbie. So in this video, I'm going to be taking you over everything you do need to know, including her kit overview, best Lightcone options, best Relic sets and Planar ornaments, Relic Mainstat and Substat recommendations, and at the very end, I will be giving some team ideas. I plan on having a full build guide for every single new and returning character in the 3.4 update, minus Firefly and Blade, as I already have two guides out for them that are already relatively updated or just have been unchanged. There's already one out for Finon, you're now watching the one for Tribbie. Soon there will be one for Sunday, soon one for Sparkle, and soon one for Jinglu. So if you're interested in any of those characters, stay tuned. That's all I wanted to say before I get into the video. If you guys found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new and haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all the types of style content and guides. If you know anyone that may need a Tribbie guide, be sure to send them this video as it may help them. Be sure to check out the description to join the new Discord server, and let's get straight into the video. So Tribbie is a quantum character following the path of harmony. Her basic attack is a blast basic attack that deals quantum damage equal to 30% of Tribbie's max HP to the main enemy you do choose to attack, and quantum damage equal to 15% of Tribbie's max HP to adjacent targets. Her skill gains Numinosity for 3 turns, and the duration of Numinosity will decrease by 1 at the start of this unit's every turn. And while she does have the Numinosity buff, everyone on your team does get a 24% increase to all type res pen. Her ultimate will activate a zone, and first will deal quantum damage equal to 30% of Tribbie's max HP to all enemies. While the zone is active, every enemy in that field will take 30% more damage, and on top of that, every target that is hit by your allies will also be dealt an extra instance of quantum additional damage equal to 12% of Tribbie's max HP to the target who has the highest HP among hit targets. Zone lasts for 2 turns, and the duration will decrease by 1 at the start of this unit's every turn. Her talent gives Tribbie access to a follow-up attack that deals quantum damage equal to 18% of Tribbie's max HP to all enemies, and you activate the follow-up attack by having someone else on your team use ultimate. The trigger count for it is 1 time per character, and every time Tribbie does use ultimate, it will reset that trigger count for the ally characters. And if the last enemy on the field is defeated before the follow-up attack is launched, when the new enemies enter the battlefield, the follow-up attack will be launched against them first instead. Her technique just gives her Numinosity right away at the start of the next battle when you do enter battle for 3 turns. For her bonus traces, her A2, after using Tribbie's follow-up attack, increases the damage dealt by Tribbie by 72% and will stack up to 3 times, lasting for 3 turns. Her A4 will increase Tribbie's max HP when you do have the ultimate zone up, equal to 9% of the sum of all ally characters' max HP. And her A6, at the start of the battle, Tribbie regenerates 30 energy. After other ally targets attack, Tribbie regenerates 1.5 energy for each target hit. And finally, for her Eidolons, her E1 will give access to true damage in her ultimate. Each time your allies attack enemies within the zone, they will additionally be dealt true damage equal to 24% of the total damage of this attack to the targets that have been dealt additional damage by the zone. For E2, the additional damage dealt by the zone increases to 120% of the original damage. When the zone deals additional damage, further deals 1 instance of additional damage. Her E4 gives the team 18% defense ignore when you do have her skill or Numinosity up. And her E6 will allow Tribbie to launch a follow-up attack when she does use her own ultimate, and will also increase the damage dealt by her follow-up attack by 729%. Taking a look at the best Lightcone options for Tribbie, she technically does have 2 best in slots, and one of them is obviously going to be her own signature Lightcone, which increases the wearer's crit damage by 36% after the wearer launches a follow-up attack, additionally regenerates 12 energy and gains Presage. While the wearer does have Presage, all ally targets' crit damage increases by 48%, and when entering battle, the wearer regenerates 21 energy and gains Presage for 2 turns. So Tribbie, at the same time being a buffer, is actually a sub-DPS, so the crit damage increase she does get for herself is going to be good anytime she does crit. This Lightcone also does actually allow Tribbie to run an HP rope rather than energy regen, which is also further going to amplify her total damage, due to the fact that you're able to regenerate even more energy after launching a follow-up attack, and it will make up for enough that would actually replace the energy regenerate rope. And to top it all off, you get a massive crit damage increase for your entire team. And it also practically lets you set up ultimate right away when you do enter battle at the same time. So this Lightcone provides you 4 different things that is super beneficial to Tribbie. Not only increasing her damage via A, giving her access to more crit damage, also making her gain access to the ability to run an HP rope instead, as again, it gives you energy for the times you do launch a follow-up attack, so you get more energy than you normally would. You gain access to a massive crit damage buff for her team, so on top of all the buffs she already does have in her base kit, you now have a crit damage buff in her actual Lightcone, and it practically lets you set up her ultimate right away, which is why this and one other option I'm going to mention right after this is her best in slot. The other best in slot is actually Dance Dance Dance, because Tribbie is a very good holder of Dance Dance Dance. When the wearer does use their ultimate, all allies' actions are advanced forward by 16%, and at S5 it is 24%. This actually can be more worth than her Lightcone just because the amount of actual tunings you can do to get extra turns with Dance 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 within a cycle, or just having your characters act quicker, is very strong. So in a lot of cases, this Lightcone actually can outperform her signature when it comes to overall performance wise, just because getting an extra turn is going to be a lot stronger. But you obviously want to make sure you have any tunings in considered to actually make the buff worth it. Because let's say you're in MOC, the cycle is about to end, you have Tribbie ult, and the next character acting is right below the cycle. You use the ultimate and it doesn't actually push them up, then there really isn't any point. So you have to tune around the team for yourself to have the right speed if you're running other sources of Dance Dance Dance, other sources of action forwards, and so on. But with right tunings, this can actually be her other best in slot. Now those are only the two Lightcones that are actually overall worth using on Tribbie. There are two more that mainly just focus on the side of giving her more energy to help her get her ultimate more. One of them is Memories of the Past. First part is practically useless as you don't have to worry about the break effect increase. It's mainly for when the wearer does attack, additionally regenerates 4 energy, and at S5 it gives you 8 energy instead. This is mainly just to help her get her ult quicker and also have her ultimate more consistently, to ensure you're actually able to keep uptime on the ultimate. Because a Tribbie, even an E1 Tribbie without her ultimate up, loses significant value because most of the stuff does come from that. So this Lightcone helping you with energy is nice. And the next option is practically the same thing, but less base stats and also just worse overall, is Mesh and Cogs. But the plus side of this is it's not only when the wearer does attack, it's also if the wearer gets hit, you will regenerate 4 energy, and at S5 it is also 8 energy. So again, those two Lightcones are mainly for the energy to help you get your ultimate more and more consistently. But they do fall short when it does come to the signature and also Dance Dance Dance. These two are far and none the best, but if you can't get a signature or you don't have a Dance 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 available, then you can opt to use Memories of the Past or Mesh and Cogs, albeit, again, they are significantly worse. When it comes to the relic sets you do want to use for Tribbie, overall the most common and our best in slot is going to be 4-piece Poet. 2-piece will increase quantum damage by 10%, and the 4-piece decreases the wearer's speed by 8%. Before entering battle, if the wearer's speed is lower than 110/95, increases the wearer's crit rate by 20/32%, and also applies to the wearer's memo spray at the same time. 2-piece will increase her overall damage as she is a quantum character dealing quantum damage, and she is able to go below 95 speed with the decreased speed, allowing you to get the full 32% increase to crit rate, which is going to help you balance a lot better of a crit ratio, and will help you allocate on stats more like HP percent and also crit damage to focus on increasing her overall damage. As again, you want to build Tribbie in mind with the fact that she actually does damage overall throughout the battle. So this giving you a massive crit rate increase that is also easy to get as Tribbie is practically never built with speed, and the 2-piece also increasing her overall damage is why it's her overall best in slot. Now that's really the only 4-piece that you would want to use. Another one you can use only if you are opting to do a faster build Tribbie, which is actually more uncommon, and significantly more uncommon at that, would be Eagle Set. For the 4-piece, letting the wearer get a 25% action forward when using their ultimate. This is really, again, just paired with fast Tribbie where you build as much speed on her, which is very uncommon, allowing her to get as many turns. So, the more turns you can get, the more energy she technically can get as well. At the cost of expiring her buff a little faster, she can also get more energy to refresh the buff and also, generate skill points and stuff like that. You really only use a set if you are doing a faster sided Tribbie, but again, be sure to account for any tunings to make sure it's actually worth it and you're not just purposely expiring your buffs with no benefit. Past that, it would be combining 2-piece, so 2-piece Quantum with 2-piece Quantum does work. If you're doing a faster Tribbie, then you can do 2-piece Quantum with 2-piece of one of the speed sets, or 2-piece Speed and 2-piece Speed at that as well. But you'd only use the speed sets again for fast Tribbie. You can also do 2-piece of one of the ones mentioned and do 2-piece Scholar for the 8% crit rate, or 2-piece Wave Strider for the actual 16% crit damage. You can also do 2-piece Scholar and 2-piece Wave Strider. You can also do 2-piece of any of those and 2-piece of the max HP set for the 12% increase to max HP. Overall, the most common one and the one I recommend the most is just doing 4-piece Poet and doing slow Tribbie. If you have a setup in mind for fast Tribbie, then Eagle is actually the best for fast Tribbie if you are able to actually take advantage of the action forward. If you're just expiring your buff, again, it's going to be worthless. And then for 2 pieces, only use the speed ones if you are actually going for a fast Tribbie build. I also forgot to mention Warrior Goddess is also a speed set you can use. But again, speed sets only for fast Tribbie. For Planar Ornaments, her best in slot is the Bone set, increasing max HP for the wearer by 12%, and when the wearer's max HP is 5,000 or higher, increases the wearer and their Memo Sprites crit damage by 28%. Tribbie very easily has over 5,000 max HP when built properly, so it is a free increase to her crit damage to make her do more damage throughout the battle. Not really much else to say, it's just a free damage increase anytime she does crit. So if you want your Tribbie to deal the most damage as possible, this one would be the one you would go to and is also the most recommended. If you're not using Bone and you want to focus more on just having more support, then you can actually run one of the supportive sets, so you can do Lushaka with the 5% energy regen for Tribbie herself, and character position first on the team lineup getting 12% attack. Just be sure the character you are buffing is an attack scaler, otherwise it would be useless. And then another supportive set would be Broken Keel. Make sure you get the 30% effect rest to give everyone, including Tribbie, 10% crit damage, so that's also going to be nice overall. You can also use Penacony if you're using her with another quantum main DPS, also providing 5% energy regen rate, and 10% damage for all other allies at the same type as the wearer. So be sure to pair it with a quantum main DPS, otherwise the set is kind of useless. And then another setup you can do for faster Tribbie to ensure she is the first one acting in battle would be building as much speed possible on her and then running Von Walk for the 5% energy regen rate, and once you have 120 speed or higher, the wearer's action is advanced forward by 40% immediately upon entering battle. So this is mainly just to ensure that she outspeeds your entire team, so you're able to get the attack in, and also be sure to have her ultimate up before anyone else acts. This, once again, is only going to be one you do use when you are using a faster Tribbie. So building as much speed as possible on her, getting her to 120 minimum or higher just as much as possible, just to ensure the minimum is 120. And with the set, you're going to be able to outspeed your team for the most part. If you're already running someone else that has Von Walk and such, be sure to account for those tunings as well. But the goal of this is to have a fast Tribbie actually outspeed your entire team so she can get her buffs up right away. For the main stats on the Relics, for the body, you want to do either crit rate or crit damage corresponding to which one you need more. If you are running Poet, which is the most common, you usually always will be running crit damage body. But if you're doing a faster Tribbie setup, then sometimes or more often you would be doing crit rate. As with the fast Tribbie, you cannot use Poet set. For the feat, most commonly you will be using HP percent for a base speed or lower speed Tribbie, which will also be best for her damage, but if you are doing a fast Tribbie build, then you will have to do speed. For the orb, HP percent is the best, but you can do quantum damage bonus as well. So if you have a really good quantum orb, you can very much use that, but again, HP percent is going to be the way to go. And for the link rope, if you have her signature Lightcone, HP percent will be the best option. If you do not have her signature Lightcone, then you will be running energy regen rate. For the substats, first, if you are doing a fast speed Tribbie, focus on getting as much speed as possible. If you're running Von Walk, be sure to run 120 speed or higher minimum, but get your speed as high as possible. With Von Walk, you're going to need a lot more to outspeed your entire team, and to outspeed your entire team, you would need Von Walk anyways with 120 speed. So again, first, you would focus on her speed, but if you're not actually doing a fast Tribbie at all, past that, you would just do crit rate, crit damage, and HP percent. If you're running Poet, just be sure to get your crit rate around 55 to 65%. If you do have 68% crit rate, that will translate to 100% in battle. If you are not actually running Poet set, you're doing a fast Tribbie or something, then you're going to need more than that to 70% or higher. It's a lot harder to actually balance crit stats when you are doing a fast Tribbie. So getting it to around 70% is probably the best you can do. The higher, the better. HP, if you are running the Bone set, be sure to get 5,000 or higher. And even in general, be sure to aim around the 5,000 mark. I also forgot to mention, if you are running stuff like Broken Keel, be sure to satisfy that requirement before actually focusing on other stats, as if you're not actually able to satisfy the requirement, then it is useless. So another reiteration, if you are doing fast Tribbie, be sure to get 120 speed plus as much as possible past that. If you're not doing fast Tribbie, just ignore that step entirely, and then you would satisfy any other requirements such as Broken Keel, 30% effect res, and so on. And then past that is more crit rate, crit damage, and HP percent. Now for the team building / team ideas. This is going to be really short just because Tribbie is really good on practically any team. She's a fantastic slot-in, best in slot in a lot of teams, great slot-ins in sustainless teams. She is just really good and really universal. So I'm only going to give you a few examples, but again, you can practically use her anywhere that isn't dot. Dot is really the only team where you wouldn't really use Tribbie on, and the other team would be Break, but even on Break, technically you can use Tribbie. But Break, you'd primarily use Fugue, Ruan Mei, and stuff like Harmony MC if you're sustaining, Linkshot or Gallagher, and so on, so Tribbie doesn't really go there either, but she does actually work there. So those are the two-ish only teams that you wouldn't use her on, and then anywhere else she practically can't fit in or is best in. So for example, a Anaxa hyper carry would look something like this. You'd have Anaxa, Tribbie, and then you'd have someone like an action advancer like Sunday. And last thought, if you're doing sustain this, you can pair another character like Ruan Mei. Or if you're doing sustain, then you can use Aventurine, you can use Linkshot, whatever you do have for that slot. Sustain slot really just depends on whoever your best available sustain is. So if Gallagher's your best one, you can put him there. If you have Linkshot, Wopo, so on, you can do it there as well. Wopo is really good with Tribbie. The attack buff is wasted, but the energy is really, really nice. Tribbie is also fantastic with Acheron, E0, or E2 teams. E0 replacing a Nihility character, you can actually just go ahead and run Acheron, your Nihility character, Tribbie, and then your last slot would be Sustain, or if you're doing Sustain this, you can do even another character for a actual Harmony. This also works for E2 as you only need one Nihility in the first place, but if you don't actually have the ability to do Sustainless, then you would replace the second Harmony obviously with your Sustain, again Gallagher, Aventurine, so on. So in this case I'll just put Linkshot on here because that just does work. In this case obviously you would need an Acheron build to have a more breakpoint speed because she doesn't have a form of action advance here. But yeah, on this team Tribbie is practically the best in slot. Tribbie is also insane for Cassius as well, also really wanting to be on there. So Cassius, Tribbie, and then someone like RMC. And then last slot would be Hyacine, but I don't actually have Hyacine, so I'm just going to keep Linkshot on there. Well, got rid of her, but in this case, I'll just put Linkshot back on. So something like this, but your sustain slot will most likely be Hyacine. Tribbie is best on this team. There's a lot more teams, like you can use her with Yunli as well. You can do double Harmony with that, another sustain with Yunli as well. Again, Tribbie really just has so many cases you can just put her on. The really only cases where you don't use her on is just going to be primarily Break. And in that case, you can still use her. And then the one you really don't use her on is going to be Dot. Dot is really the only team you will not use her on. And yep, that is the full updated 3.4 build guide for Tribbie. Once again, hope you guys found the video helpful. If you did, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all the types of style content and guides. And I'll see you later. Peace out.